The day Mary told me she couldn't be with someone who chose books over her. I was in my 4th year of medical school, surviving on 3 hours of sleep and instant noodles. She stood in my tiny dorm room, arms crossed, her voice cold as ice. "Can't you just be normal for once, David? Everyone else has time for their girlfriends. But you're always buried in those stupid medical books." I remember looking up from my anatomy textbook, exhausted, my eyes bloodshot from studying for the upcoming surgery exam. I had been awake for 36 hours straight. "Mary, I just need to get through this exam. It's important for my future. For our future." She laughed. A bitter, mocking laugh that still echoes in my mind, even now, years later. Our future? What future? You think I'm going to wait around for someone who has no time for me? George takes Sarah out every weekend. They go to movies, restaurants, vacations. And what do? Sit in this pathetic room while you memorize body parts. I tried to reach for her hand, but she pulled away. "Mary, please. Just one more year. After I graduate, things will be different. I promise." She shook her head, her eyes filled with contempt rather than sadness. "I'm done, David. I'm done being second place to your obsession. Maybe one day you'll realize that life is about more than studying. But by then, it'll be too late." She walked out that day, and I didn't follow her. I couldn't. I had an exam in 6 hours that would determine whether I could continue in the surgical program. I made my choice. She made hers. 5 years later, I'm standing in the main lobby of St. Catherine Medical Center, one of the most prestigious hospitals in the country. I'm wearing a white coat with my name embroidered on it. Dr. David Chen, Chief Surgical Resident. And sitting behind the reception desk, wearing a standard blue uniform and a plastic name tag, is Mary. I met Mary in my 2nd year of college, before I had even decided to pursue medicine. Back then, I was just another undergraduate student trying to figure out what to do with my life. She was beautiful, confident, and popular. Everyone knew Mary Thompson. She had this way of lighting up a room just by walking into it. I was the quiet one, the guy who sat in the back of the lecture hall, taking notes, asking questions that made professors smile and other students roll their eyes. I didn't go to parties. I didn't drink. I spent my weekends in the library, and I was perfectly happy that way. We met in a general psychology class. She sat next to me one day because all the other seats were taken. I helped her understand a concept she had missed, and somehow, that turned into coffee, which turned into dinner, which turned into a relationship. For 2 years, everything was perfect. She accepted that I was serious about my studies. She said she admired my dedication. When I got accepted into medical school, she threw me a surprise party. She told everyone her boyfriend was going to be a doctor. And her eyes sparkled with pride. But medical school changed everything. The workload was crushing. While my undergraduate friends were graduating and starting jobs with regular 9 to 5 hours, I was drowning in lectures, labs, and clinical rotations. I studied diseases I couldn't pronounce. I memorized drug interactions and surgical procedures. I spent nights in the anatomy lab, learning every muscle, nerve, and blood vessel in the human body. Mary didn't understand. How could she? She had graduated with a degree in communications and got a job at a marketing firm. She worked normal hours. She had weekends off. She expected me to be the same. Our dates became arguments. Every time I canceled plans because of studying, she took it personally. Every time I fell asleep during a movie because I had been at the hospital for 20 hours, she accused me of not caring. I tried to explain. Medical school isn't like a regular job, Mary. People's lives will depend on me. I need to know this material inside and out. She would respond the same way every time. You care more about strangers than you care about me. It wasn't true. I loved her. But I also loved medicine. I had found my calling, my purpose. Surgery fascinated me. The idea that I could open someone's body, fix what was broken, and save their life, it consumed me in the best possible way. George was Mary's friend Sarah's boyfriend. George worked in sales at his father's company. He made decent money, had plenty of free time, and treated dating like a full-time hobby. He took Sarah on weekend trips, bought her expensive gifts, and was always available. Mary started comparing us. Why can't you be more like George? He knows how to balance work and life. He makes time for Sarah. I wanted to say that George's job didn't require him to hold someone's life in his hands. That if I messed up at work, people died. That the reason I studied so hard was because I refused to be the kind of doctor who made careless mistakes. But I was too tired to argue. So, I just kept studying. The breaking point came during my 4th year. During my surgical rotation. I was working under Dr. Patricia Miller, one of the best cardiothoracic surgeons in the country. She was tough, demanding, and she saw potential in me. She pushed me harder than anyone else, and I thrived under that pressure. But it meant even less time for Mary. I missed her birthday because I was assisting in an 8-hour open-heart surgery. I couldn't answer her calls because I was in the operating room. When I finally got out and called her back, she didn't answer. She ignored me for 3 days. When she finally agreed to see me, she brought George and Sarah along. We met at a cafe near campus. I showed up straight from the hospital, still in my scrubs, exhausted but trying to make an effort. Mary barely looked at me. Sarah kept talking about the vacation she and George were planning. George made subtle comments about how important it is to live life and not waste your youth working. I sat there, drinking bad coffee, feeling like an outsider in my own relationship. That night, Mary came to my dorm. I thought maybe we would talk, maybe find a way to fix things. Instead, she delivered the speech that ended us. "You're not the person I fell in love with anymore, David. You've become this obsessed, stressed out person who has no time for anything except medicine. I deserve someone who puts me first. George treats Sarah like a queen. And you? You treat me like an inconvenience." I was too shocked to defend myself. Too tired to fight. She continued. "I've tried to be supportive. I really have. But I can't do this anymore. I can't be with someone who would rather study than be with me. So I'm done. We're done." And that was it. 4 years of friendship and love ended in a 10-minute conversation. She left, and I went back to studying. What else could I do? My exam was in the morning. Life didn't stop just because my heart was breaking. I didn't hear from her again. I threw myself into my work even harder. I graduated top of my class. I got accepted into the most competitive surgical residency program in the country. I worked 100-hour weeks, performed hundreds of surgeries, and became the doctor I always dreamed of being. And Mary? I had no idea what happened to her. I deleted her from social media. I avoided mutual friends. I moved on. Or at least, I thought I had. Now, standing in this hospital lobby, staring at the woman who once told me I'd never amount to anything if I kept wasting my life studying, I feel a strange mixture of emotions. There's no satisfaction. No sense of victory. Just a quiet, uncomfortable recognition. She looks different. Older, obviously. But there's something else. The confidence is gone. The spark that made her magnetic has dimmed. She sits behind that desk, typing on a computer, answering phones, directing visitors. She hasn't seen me yet. I could walk away. Take a different entrance, avoid this entire situation. But I don't. I walk toward the reception desk. As I get closer, I see her name tag clearly. Mary Thompson. Patient Services Coordinator. Not even a fancy title. Just a receptionist. I reach the desk. She's on the phone, her voice professional but tired. "Yes, visiting hours are from 9 in the morning until 8 at night. You're welcome." She hangs up and looks up at me with a practiced smile, ready to help the next person. The smile freezes. Her eyes widen. Her mouth opens slightly. For a moment, she can't speak. "David." Her voice is barely a whisper. I keep my expression neutral, professional. "Hello, Mary." She stands up quickly, almost knocking over her coffee cup. She stares at me, her eyes moving from my face to my white coat to the ID badge hanging around my neck. "You're a doctor?" "Here." I nod. "Chief surgical resident. I started 2 weeks ago." She looks like she's been slapped. Her face goes pale, then red, then pale again. "I didn't know. I had no idea you were working here. Why would you?" "We haven't spoken in 5 years. An awkward silence fills the space between us. Other people are waiting behind me, impatient. A woman clears her throat loudly. Mary tears her eyes away from me and addresses the woman. "I'll be with you in just 1 moment." She looks back at me. And I can see 1,000 questions in her eyes. "Can we talk? Later? Maybe during my lunch break?" I hesitate. Part of me wants to say no, to walk away and never look back. But another part of me, the part that never got closure, is curious. "I'll be in the surgical wing. Find me if you want." I turn and walk away before she can respond. As I head toward the elevators, I can feel her eyes on my back. The rest of the morning passes in a blur of consultations, pre-operative assessments, and teaching moments with junior residents. I'm in my element here. In the hospital, I'm confident, capable, respected. Around noon, I'm reviewing surgical notes in the resident lounge when there's a knock on the door. It's Mary. She's holding a sad-looking sandwich from the hospital cafeteria, still in her uniform. She looks nervous, uncomfortable. Is this a bad time? I gesture to the empty chair across from me. It's fine. I have 20 minutes. She sits down but doesn't eat her sandwich. Instead, she just stares at me. You look good, David. Really good. Successful. Thank you. I'm not trying to make this easy for her. She broke my heart, mocked my dreams, and walked away. I don't owe her comfort. She fidgets with her sandwich wrapper. I can't believe you're actually here. A surgeon. You really did it. I said I would. She flinches at the edge in my voice. I know, I didn't think. She trails off, unsure how to finish that sentence. You didn't think I'd actually make it. You thought I was wasting my time. Her face flushes. That's not what I meant. Isn't it? You told me I was obsessed. That I was choosing books over you. That I'd never have a real life if I kept studying so much. She looks down at her hands. I was young and stupid, David. I didn't understand. No, you didn't. Another silence. This one heavier, filled with years of unspoken resentment. Finally, she speaks again, her voice small. How have you been? Are you happy? I consider the question. Am I happy? I love my job. I'm good at what I do. I've achieved everything I set out to achieve. But happiness? That's more complicated. I'm exactly where I wanted to be, I say carefully. She nods slowly, and I see tears forming in her eyes. I'm glad, really. You deserve it. I don't respond. I don't know what to say. This conversation feels surreal. She wipes her eyes quickly. I should let you get back to work. I just wanted to see you. To say hi. Maybe we could catch up sometime. Maybe. I don't commit. I don't refuse. I just leave it hanging in the air. She stands up, clutching her uneaten sandwich. It was good to see you, David. She walks toward the door, then pauses and turns back. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For everything I said back then. I was wrong. Before I can respond, she's gone. I sit there, staring at the empty doorway, feeling emotions I thought I had buried years ago, rising to the surface. That night, I can't sleep. I lie in my apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation with Mary over and over in my mind. Seeing her again has opened a door I thought I had locked forever. I think about those final months of our relationship. How every conversation turned into a fight. How guilty she made me feel for pursuing my dreams. How small I felt every time she compared me to George. George, who had money and free time but no ambition. George, who could take Sarah on fancy dates because his job required no real skill or dedication. George, who never had to study because his father handed him everything. I remember one particular night, about 2 months before we broke up. Mary had invited me to a dinner party at Sarah and George's new apartment. I almost didn't go. I had a major exam coming up, but Mary begged me. She said I never made time for her friends, that I was becoming antisocial. So I went. The apartment was nice. Too nice for 2 people in their early 20s. George's father had paid for it. Of course. George spent the entire evening bragging about his sales numbers, his new car, his upcoming promotion. Sarah looked at him with adoration. Mary kept glancing at me, then at George, then back at me. I could see the comparison happening in her mind. The disappointment growing. At one point, George put his arm around Sarah and said, "The key to a happy relationship is priorities. You gotta make time for your girl, you know. Work is work, but at the end of the day, it's just a job." Mary nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. That's exactly what I've been trying to tell David. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say that surgery isn't just a job. It's a calling. It's art and science and responsibility all wrapped together. But I was too exhausted to fight, so I stayed quiet. That silence was a mistake. Mary interpreted it as agreement. Or worse. As indifference. Now, lying in my apartment 5 years later, I wonder what happened to George and Sarah. Are they still together? Did George's easy life lead to lasting happiness? And Mary? What happened to her? How did she end up as a hospital receptionist? I grab my phone and, against my better judgment, search for her on social media. Her profile is private, but I can see her profile picture. She's smiling, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Her bio says she works at St. Catherine Medical Center. I scroll through mutual friends and find Sarah's profile. It's public. I click through her photos and find my answer. Sarah and George broke up 3 years ago. Sarah is now engaged to someone else, a lawyer from what I can tell from the photos. She looks happy. And George, I find his profile too. He's exactly where I expected him to be. Still working at his father's company. Still posting about golf and expensive dinners. Still the same guy who thought working hard was for suckers. But there's something else. In several of George's photos from 2 and 3 years ago, I see Mary. They're at parties together. At restaurants. At a beach resort. My stomach twists as I realize what happened. After we broke up, Mary got together with George. The guy she constantly compared me to. The guy she held up as the example of what a boyfriend should be. I closed the app, feeling sick. Did she think she'd won? Did she think she'd traded up? And now here she is, working a minimum wage job at the same hospital where I'm training to be a surgeon. The irony is almost too much. The next day at work, I can't focus. I'm distracted during rounds. I snap at a medical student, who asks a perfectly reasonable question. Dr. Miller notices. She pulls me aside after we finish a procedure. Dr. Chen. Is everything all right? You seem off today. Dr. Patricia Miller is in her 50s, brilliant, intimidating, and one of my few mentors who genuinely cares about her residents beyond their performance in the operating room. I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well. She gives me a look that says she doesn't believe me but won't push. Take the afternoon off. Go clear your head. I need you sharp tomorrow. We have a complicated valve replacement scheduled. I don't argue. I change out of my scrubs and decide to go for a walk around the hospital campus. That's when I see them. Mary is outside, sitting on a bench in the small garden area where staff take their breaks. And sitting next to her, much too close, is George. He's wearing an expensive suit. His hair is perfectly styled. He's talking animatedly, and Mary is laughing at something he said. I should walk away. This has nothing to do with me anymore. But I can't move. I stand there, partially hidden by a building column, watching them. George reaches over and touches Mary's hand. She doesn't pull away immediately, but after a moment, she does. She says something I can't hear, and George's expression darkens. He stands up abruptly, clearly frustrated. He says something else, his body language aggressive. Mary shakes her head, looking upset. George storms off, walking right past me without even noticing I'm there. Mary stays on the bench, her head in her hands. Before I can think better of it, I walk over. She looks up, startled, her eyes red. David. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to see George leave. I pause. What was that about? She wipes her eyes quickly. Nothing. Just old drama. I sit down on the bench, keeping a respectful distance. You two were together. After we broke up. It's not a question. I already know. She nods slowly. For about a year and a half. It was a mistake. I wait for her to continue. After you and I broke up, I was angry, hurt. George was there, and he said all the things I wanted to hear. That I deserved better. That you were a fool for choosing your career over me. One thing led to another, and we started dating. She laughs bitterly. Turns out, George wasn't the perfect boyfriend I thought he was. He was attentive at first, but once he had me, he lost interest. He cheated on me multiple times. Used me to make other girls jealous. And when I finally left him, he couldn't accept it. Why is he here now? He's been trying to get me back for over a year. Shows up at my work, sends me messages, tells me we're meant to be together. She looks at me with exhausted eyes. He saw you the other day. Saw us talking. Now he's convinced you're the reason I won't take him back. Are you? Am I what? Refusing him because of me? She meets my eyes, and for the first time, I see genuine vulnerability. Mary doesn't answer my question right away. She looks out at the garden. At the small fountain in the center. At anywhere but me. Finally, she speaks. I never stopped thinking about you, David. Even when I was with George, I compared him to you. And he came up short every single time. I don't know what to say to that. Part of me feels vindicated. The other part just feels sad. She continues. George was fun at first. He took me to nice places, bought me things, was always available. But he was shallow. Every conversation was about him, his success, his life. He never asked about my dreams or my thoughts. He never challenged me to be better. She finally looks at me. You did. You made me think. You made me want to be smarter, more curious about the world. I took that for granted. I lean back against the bench. You made your choice, Mary. You wanted someone who put you first, and George did that. Or at least, he pretended to. She shakes her head. No, he didn't. He put himself first, always. The attention he gave me was only because it made him look good. The moment I needed actual support, he disappeared. I'm still not sure why she's telling me all this. What does she want from me? Forgiveness? A second chance? Before I can ask, my pager goes off. It's the emergency code for the surgical floor. I have to go. I stand up quickly. Mary stands too, looking disappointed. Can we finish this conversation later? I don't commit. I just say, maybe. And run back into the hospital. The emergency is a trauma case. A car accident victim with internal bleeding. I assist Dr. Miller in a 4-hour surgery that requires every bit of my focus and skill. When we finally close, the patient is stable. Dr. Miller looks at me with approval. Good work, Dr. Chen. You were sharp today. The adrenaline fades, replaced by exhaustion. I check my phone. It's nearly 8 at night. There's a text from a number I don't recognize. This is Mary. I got your number from the staff directory. I hope that's okay. I just wanted to say thank you for sitting with me today. It meant more than you know. I stare at the message for a long time before responding. It's fine. Glad I could help. She responds immediately. Can I buy you dinner sometime? Just as friends. I'd like to properly catch up. I hesitate. Is this a good idea? Probably not, but I'm curious. I want to understand how we both ended up here. Sure. When? This Saturday. I know a quiet place near the hospital. I agree, and we set a time. The next few days are busy. I perform 2 major surgeries, teach a class to medical students, and attend countless meetings. I barely have time to think about Mary or our upcoming dinner. But Saturday arrives, and I find myself standing outside a small Italian restaurant, waiting. Mary shows up right on time. She's not wearing her work uniform. Instead, she's in a simple dress that reminds me of the girl I fell in love with years ago. Hi, she says with a shy smile. Hi. We go inside and are seated at a corner table. The restaurant is cozy, dimly lit, not fancy but comfortable. We order food and fall into surprisingly easy conversation. She asks about my residency, about my surgeries, about my life. And for the first time in 5 years, I find myself opening up to her. I tell her about the first surgery I performed as the lead resident. How terrified I was. How my hands shook until I made the first incision, and then muscle memory and training took over. She listens, genuinely interested, asking smart questions. That sounds incredible, David. You saved someone's life. It's what I trained for. Still, not many people can say that. I find myself smiling. What about you? What have you been doing these past 5 years? Her expression dims. Not much, honestly. After college, I worked at that marketing firm for a while. But I hated it. The corporate politics, the fake enthusiasm, all of it. I quit after 2 years. Then what? She sighs. Then I made the mistake of dating George. I thought he'd support me while I figured out what I really wanted to do, but he didn't. He wanted me to be arm candy. Show up to his work events, look pretty, don't ask questions. When I tried to go back to school to get a graduate degree, he told me it was a waste of time. That I should focus on planning our future wedding instead. Wedding? You two were engaged? She nods, looking ashamed. For about 6 months. But I couldn't go through with it. I realized I'd be making the same mistake twice. Choosing a man who didn't value my potential. So you called it off? I called it off. She pauses. That's when everything fell apart. George's father owned the building where I was living. They evicted me. George made sure I couldn't get a job in marketing anywhere in the city. He has connections everywhere. That's why you're working at the hospital. She nods. It was the only place that would hire me. And honestly, I like it. It's not glamorous, but I'm helping people. Directing them to the right departments, comforting scared families. It matters. I see something in her eyes that wasn't there before. Humility. Growth. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, she says softly. I was spoiled and selfish. I wanted the easy path. But life taught me that the easy path leads nowhere worth going. Before I can respond, the door to the restaurant opens, and George walks in. He scans the room and his eyes land on our table. His expression darkens immediately. Oh no, Mary whispers. George walks over to our table, his face red with anger. I knew it. I knew you were seeing him. George. This isn't what you think. He ignores her and glares at me. You think you're better than me? You think because you're a doctor now, you can just swoop in and take her back? I stand up calmly. I'm not taking anyone back. We're just having dinner. Dinner? He laughs bitterly. You ruined her. You know that. She was never the same after you. Always comparing me to you. Always wishing I was more like you. Mary stands up too. George, you need to leave. No. He points at me. You need to stay away from her. She's mine. I've had enough. My voice is cold and steady. She's not yours. She's not anyone's. She's her own person. And you need to leave. Now. George takes a step closer. His fists clenched. The restaurant manager notices the commotion and hurries over. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. George looks around, realizes everyone is staring, and storms out, but not before saying, this isn't over. Mary sinks back into her chair, mortified. I'm so sorry, David. I didn't know he was following me. The dinner is ruined. We leave the restaurant shortly after George is seen, and I walk Mary to her car. She's shaking, whether from anger or fear, I can't tell. I should have warned you. He's been obsessed with me ever since I broke up with him. He can't accept that I moved on. Has he ever hurt you? She hesitates. Not physically. But he's threatened to. He's destroyed my reputation, ruined job opportunities, turned mutual friends against me. He's made my life hell. I feel a surge of protectiveness that surprises me. Have you filed a restraining order? I tried. His family has connections. The police said there wasn't enough evidence. That I was exaggerating. I clench my jaw. This is unacceptable. She looks up at me with tired eyes. It's my life now. I've learned to deal with it. You shouldn't have to. We reach her car, an old sedan that's seen better days. She unlocks it but doesn't get in. David, I need to tell you something, and I need you to hear me out completely before you say anything. I nod. She takes a deep breath. When I broke up with you, I thought I was making the right choice. I thought you were wasting your life, that you'd never be successful, that I deserved someone who had already made it. But I was wrong. So incredibly wrong. Tears start falling down her face. You were building something. You had a vision for your life and the discipline to achieve it. And I couldn't see it. I was too immature, too focused on immediate gratification. These past 5 years have been the biggest regret of my life. Not just because you became successful and I didn't, but because I lost the one person who actually loved me for me. Who challenged me to be better. Who saw potential in me that I didn't see in myself. George loved the idea of me. You loved the actual me. I don't know what to say. Part of me wants to forgive her, to tell her I understand. But another part of me remembers the pain, the humiliation, the way she made me feel worthless. Mary, I start, but she holds up her hand. I'm not asking you to take me back. I know I don't deserve that. I just needed you to know that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply, sorry. You deserved better than how I treated you. She gets into her car and drives away before I can respond. I stand there in the parking lot, feeling like I've been hit by a truck. The next week is chaos. George files a formal complaint with the hospital, claiming I'm harassing Mary and creating a hostile work environment. It's completely false. But it triggers an investigation. I have to meet with Human Resources, with my program director, with Dr. Miller. I have to explain the situation. Provide evidence that I've done nothing wrong. It's humiliating and infuriating. Mary comes forward and tells them the truth, that George is her ex who's been stalking her, that I've been nothing but professional. But the damage is done. Rumors spread through the hospital. People whisper when I walk by. Dr. Miller calls me into her office one afternoon. Sit down, David. I sit, exhausted and frustrated. She leans back in her chair. I've reviewed everything. The complaint against you is baseless. George Reynolds has no credibility. And multiple witnesses confirm his harassing behavior toward Miss Thompson. I feel relief wash over me. However, she continues, this situation is a distraction. For you and for this program. I need your head in the game. Can you assure me that will be the case? Yes. Absolutely. She studies me for a long moment. You're one of the best residents I've ever trained, David. You have a bright future in surgery. Don't let personal drama derail that. I won't. I leave her office determined to put this all behind me. But that night, I get a call from Mary. She's crying so hard I can barely understand her. David, please. I need help. He broke into my apartment. I'm on my feet immediately. Did you call the police? Yes, but they're not taking it seriously. They said maybe I left the door unlocked. But I didn't. He was here. He left a note. I'm coming over. Send me your address. I drive across the city, breaking several speed limits. When I arrive at her apartment building, police are already there, but they're getting ready to leave. I approach the officer. What's going on? He gives me a bored look. No sign of forced entry. No evidence of a break-in. Probably just forgot to lock her door. She has a stalker. This isn't the first incident. He shrugs. Unless there's physical evidence or a direct threat, there's nothing we can do. They leave. I go upstairs and find Mary's apartment. She opens the door. Her face pale. Her eyes red from crying. The apartment is small but neat. Nothing appears disturbed except for a piece of paper on her kitchen table. I read the note. It's from George. You can't escape me. You'll always be mine. If I can't have you, no one will. This is a direct threat. I take a photo of it with my phone. Mary, you need to file another restraining order. This is evidence. She shakes her head hopelessly. You don't understand. His family owns half this city. The judge is his father's golf buddy. I've tried. No one takes me seriously. I feel anger rising in my chest. This is beyond unacceptable. I pull out my phone and make a call. It's late, but I don't care. Dr. Miller answers on the third ring. Dr. Chen. This better be important. It is. I need a favor. I explain the situation. Dr. Miller is silent for a moment, then says, "Give me 20 minutes. 18 minutes later, my phone rings. It's a lawyer from the hospital's legal department. Dr. Miller called in a favor. The lawyer listens to the situation, reviews the evidence, and within an hour, has filed an emergency restraining order on Mary's behalf. Moreover, the lawyer contacts the police department's chief, who happens to be on the hospital's board of directors, and explains that one of his officers dismissed a clear stalking case. By midnight, there's a patrol car stationed outside Mary's building. Mary looks at me with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. How did you do that? I didn't. Dr. Miller did. She has connections that even George's family can't touch. Mary breaks down crying again, but this time from relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. I stay with her until she calms down, then prepare to leave. She grabs my hand. David, wait. I turn back. Why are you helping me? After everything I did to you. I think about that for a moment. Because you needed help. And despite everything, I'm still a doctor. I don't let people suffer when I can do something about it. The restraining order changes everything. George tries to violate it twice and gets arrested both times. His father's connections can't save him from documented evidence. He's facing charges and his reputation is destroyed. Mary finally has peace. Over the next few months, something unexpected happens. Mary and I become friends. Real friends. We have coffee sometimes in the hospital cafeteria. We talk about medicine, about life, about our dreams. She tells me she started taking night classes, working toward a degree in healthcare administration. I wanted to do something meaningful, she explains. Working at the hospital made me realize I want to help people. Just like you do. Just in a different way. I'm proud of her. The growth I've seen in her is remarkable. One day, Dr. Miller approaches me with news. David, you've been selected for the chief resident position next year. Congratulations. It's the position every surgical resident dreams of, the one that virtually guarantees a fellowship at a top program. I thank her, feeling a sense of accomplishment that's hard to describe. That evening, I'm in the doctor's lounge when Mary finds me. I heard the news. She's beaming. Chief resident. That's incredible, David. Thank you. She sits down across from me. Can I tell you something? Of course. 5 years ago, when I told you that you were wasting your life studying, I was projecting my own fears onto you. I was scared that I didn't have direction, that I wasn't special. And when I saw how driven you were, it made me feel worse about myself. So I tore you down instead of building myself up. She looks at me with clear eyes. But you never let my words stop you. You knew who you were and what you wanted. And that's why you're here now. That's why you made it. I appreciate her honesty. It takes courage to admit your mistakes. I made mistakes too, I say. I could have communicated better. I could have made more time. Maybe we both just weren't ready. She smiles sadly. Maybe. But I'm glad you didn't give up on your dreams because of me. The world needs doctors like you. A few weeks later, the hospital holds a formal ceremony for the new chief resident announcement. My father flies in for the event. He's never been one for emotional displays, but I see pride in his eyes. After the ceremony, there's a reception. Colleagues congratulate me. Dr. Miller gives a speech about my work ethic and skill. And in the back of the room, I see Mary. She's not in her receptionist uniform. She's wearing a nice dress, and she's smiling genuinely. She catches my eye and raises her glass in a silent toast. I nod back. After the reception winds down, I find her outside. Thank you for coming. I wouldn't have missed it. She pauses. David, I want you to know something. Seeing you succeed, seeing you become the person you were always meant to be. It doesn't make me jealous anymore. It inspires me. I've started my own journey now. I'm working toward my degree. I'm building a life I'm proud of. And I have you to thank for that example. You did that yourself, Mary. I just showed you it was possible. She steps closer. I know we can never go back to what we were. Too much has happened, but I'm grateful for what we have now. A second chance at friendship. Me too. She hugs me, a brief, friendly embrace, and then walks away. I watch her go, feeling a sense of closure I didn't know I needed. 6 months later. I'm scrubbing in for a complex cardiac procedure when I get word that there's someone waiting to see me. When I finish the surgery hours later, I find Mary in the waiting area. But she's not alone. She's with an older couple who look nervous. David, she says, standing up. I'm sorry to ambush you like this. But these are my parents. They wanted to meet you. Her father extends his hand. Dr. Chen, we've heard a lot about you. Thank you for everything you did for our daughter. I shake his hand, confused. Mary explains. After everything that happened with George, I finally told them the truth. About how he manipulated me, how I made terrible choices. And I told them about you. About how you helped me even when you had no reason to. Her mother speaks up, tears in her eyes. We raised her better than how she treated you. We're so sorry for that. I don't know what to say. I appreciate that. Mary smiles. They wanted to thank you in person. And also, to see the man I should have held on to. Her father nods. Any man who becomes a surgeon and still makes time to help others. That's the kind of man we wanted for our daughter. We just wish she had realized it sooner. It's an awkward but touching moment. After they leave, I return to my work, but I'm smiling. A year later, I complete my residency with top honors. I accept a fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery at one of the best hospitals in the country. On my last day at St. Catherine, I'm packing up my office when there's a knock. It's Mary. She's wearing business casual clothes and carrying a folder. I heard you're leaving. News travels fast. She hands me the folder. I wanted to give you this. I open it. It's her acceptance letter to a graduate program in healthcare administration at a prestigious university. I got in. I start in the fall. Mary. That's amazing. Congratulations. Thank you. And thank you for showing me that it's never too late to start over. That hard work and dedication actually matter. We shake hands, professional but warm. Good luck, Dr. Chen. Good luck, Mary. I leave St. Catherine Medical Center that day with no regrets. 5 years ago, a woman told me I was wasting my life studying. She broke my heart and walked away. Today, I'm a surgeon. I save lives. I teach the next generation of doctors. I've achieved everything I set out to achieve. And her? She's finally finding her own path. Her own purpose. We both got exactly what we needed. Just not with each other. And that's okay.